It's recording. So welcome to CBOR Interim meeting. I posted the Etherpad with the agenda to the WebEx chat. I'm going to do that again. Who joined after that? On the agenda today, we have a status update on the CBOR specification, which I saw got an update like 30 minutes ago, but I haven't had time to see that update. So if you, Carsten, can walk us through, that would be great. Then, since last interim, Carsten will talk about the ABNF addition to CDDL. Oh, I had the wrong link here. Just gonna move that. And then Mike, status update on CBOR tag for date. And then any other business. Yeah, Carsten, you can take the lead.
Right. So in the last meeting, we discussed that we were going to need an updated changes section in the appendix and a lot of small nits. I have generated 3 small pull requests on nits. So these pull requests are can you try to show them? It takes incredibly long for me to show them.
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
Yeah, so I'll start talking while you set it up. So we had discussed some redundancy in section 5.2, which I think addresses the issue that's out there. We had discussed section 7.1, which wasn't quite in the right tense in all cases. And I slightly rearranged the text there, and I used the occasion to change the discussion on extension points to actually go into the IANA considerations and make a minor change. So if you can click on files changed, we had discussed coming up. Oh, you have a wide version of that. Very nice. We had discussed that. Can you scroll down? We had discussed that. Oh, that's 5.2. So on the 7.1. Very good. Thank you. So we had discussed that maybe we wanted to reserve some of the 1+2 space to actually ask for specification required. So further down in the text, there is a change that makes the range from 256 to half of 16 bits specification required, and the rest of the 16-bit range, the 32-bit and the 64-bit range, continue to be first come, first served. So that's something that we discussed, but apparently never got around to actually doing. So I hope this is still something that the working group wants to do. Any comments right now?
Looks good.
Yes, we do.
That was a collision for me.
+1.
+1. Thank you. And the third actually is a mistake we made in the handling of pull request number 18. So as you may know, there are some tags that actually can receive multiple content and uh, complicated content, and which react to specific major types in that content. So you can say all the byte strings in this tree uh, actually need to be base 64 encoded when converting this to JSON, or need to be base 64 URL encoded. So that's for tag 21 and 22. And for some reason, we try to do the same thing for tag number 33 and 34. So um, the red text that is going away at the top of the screen or in the middle of the screen, this was the addition that came with number 18. And Lawrence made us aware that this actually would be a change, a larger change than we thought it would be, because it changes the domain of the tags 33 and 34. And it gets particularly weird for other things like URIs and so on. So I'm not sure that we actually thought this through properly, and I'm proposing to revert this. Okay, and
For the sake of waiting for an answer, yes, of course, if we are, we cannot do this current. So if there's no way to smooth it in, then the reversion is fine.
yeah, we can always define new tags that have this behavior, but changing the existing tags to suddenly have this behavior and accept new kinds of tag content is probably not the right thing to do at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And the other change looks large, but it really just clarifies the word alphabet. The existing text is using the word alphabet, and this sounds like only letters can be in base 64 encoding. So I clarify that the term alphabet is actually defined in the sections 5 and 4 of RFC 4648. So these are the new pull requests. The one pull request that I still have to write is the one for the changes. So I was hoping I could do this like 10 days ago, but I couldn't. So this stays on the to-do list. Yeah, and on the issues side, the two issues with the yellow label, they are covered by the PRs, and the issue 183, I think the reporter already put up some thumbs up there. So oh, we have some new text. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. Okay, so I generate a pull request with that. I think that's it.
That's good.
You, Bobby.
I don't know if Michael, have you been following your review, and is there anything you want to discuss?
No, I think Karsten's got it well in hand.
Great. So I think we can wait for these additional, or this one additional PR, and then go ahead, merge these. I think they make sense. And then we wait for the update.
Right.
Next item, ABNF.
Yes, so I misread the agenda and didn't look at the heading and only at the draft. So there's not really much to report about the notable text document. So I didn't prepare much. So I now have
Sorry about that.
permission from one of the authors of the text specifications to include his text there. And I think I will do that and then take another round asking the working group whether this is a good way to handle this. But again, I didn't manage to do this in the last 10 days. So on the ABNF, essentially same thing. I have one slide I showed at the end of the meeting on April 20 something that shows the proposal. I haven't really received any feedback on this proposal, and one reason may be that it simply is pretty good, so it's hard to do it better than that. But it may also be that people haven't really looked at the proposal, so please do. It's in the CBOR freezer document, and if you have any additional ideas how to improve this. So I did a little experiment. In one CDDL spec, we need to define what a query is, which is a form of UI that has a namespace component. And I took the ABNF and threw it into an ABNF to regex converter. And the result is pretty funny. I mean, it's completely unreadable, useless as something you would write in a specification. So it really seems to me that having ABNF capability in CDDL is actually useful. Yeah, but that's, unless people have comments on this right now, that I think that's all we can do right now.
Karsten,
Yes.
I sat down and started reading this yesterday,
Great.
and I've got two comments. I'm not too sure where they go. Comment number one, it looks like the draft to be able to put Unicode characters natively in ABNF has died. So I'm not too sure that we need to worry about that particular issue. It's just a problem if you're doing UTF-8 encoded to actually read it. The second,
Yeah, so that's really something that should be discussed with the people who are trying to maintain ABNF, because I think a common reading of ABNF is that ABNF doesn't tell you what care set is being used. It's all about code points. So you actually don't need a document that tells you how to do Unicode in ABNF, because ABNF already can do Unicode.
yes, but you can't actually type, the character. You can't type the euro sign in your ABNF. You have to encode it as hex. Because the ABNF itself is restricted to ASCII characters.
Right. So you would do a percent egg something, yes.
But there was a draft to actually extend the character set of ABNF to include Unicode.
Right, okay.
The second one is I started looking at things and trying to figure out if I could use the grouping operator on a sequence of strings in some way. And I haven't managed to think about it hard enough, but it would be a different way of presenting the ABNF than as a byte string.
Yes, it probably would mean that you need at least 4 or 5 characters of noise on every line of ABNF. And I'm not sure that that's very nice for the spec reader.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I hadn't looked at it very hard.
I'm sure you can make it work, but the result is much harder to read than the little hack here. And when I get to choose between purity and usability, I know where I'm going to.
Right, but it would allow you to natively include Unicode characters.
Okay, if you can maybe in a message to the mailing list explain how that would work, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think I can manage that.
Yeah, we could also just be bold and say, oh, the stuff in our ABNF pieces is almost but entirely unlike RFC 5234 because it does allow Unicode characters. So we don't have to be exactly like ABNF in those parts. Okay, any other comments on this? Then I think the next one is the date tag, the date tags. Jessica, are you back?
I am back. Sorry, I missed a bit of a discussion, but yeah. Next item, Mike.
Yes, hi. This is Mike. Let's see, I've gotten 2 sets of comments from Karsten. One with editorial corrections and making it clear what 0 means, which I'll do. And the other was a suggestion to also include a reference to a different date number called modified Julian date. And I've been on the fence about whether to do that or not. We could. I don't want it to be normative. I want it to be that, 1970 January 1st is 0.
Yes.
I went to the web and found a modified Julian date converter and got the same time or date offset number as you did, Karsten. Whether I trust a random thing I found on the web or not is, questionable, but maybe right. What I wanted us to talk about, what is the value of adding that, and do we want to do it or not? That's kind of what I've been holding up on for updating the draft, and I wasn't sure how to think about that. So those working group members present, what do you think? The modified Julian date goes back to a date in the 1800s, 17 November 1858. I'm not sure why that's 0 in that system.
Yeah. So there is something called a Julian date, which is unwieldy because it starts at noon and has an epoch date that is way back. So at some point, people decided they no longer wanted to use Julian dates. They wanted to use modified Julian dates by removing 2.4 million, by subtracting 2.4 million 0.5 from the Julian date. So the 0.5 gives you a start at midnight, and the 2.4 million makes the whole thing easier to handle. And that's because they wanted to have a round number. That's why they came up with this weird November 17th thing. But I think anybody who's doing anything in astronomy or time keeping and so on knows what a modified Julian date is. So that would be the value for me as an implementation node, not as another way of trying to define it, but as an implementation node. If you actually have an MJD, then subtracting 40,578 from it gives you the Unix state.
I'm fine with that if people agree. I do see that it's used in astronomy.
Very heavily.
I don't think I'm seeing any penalties for doing that.
No, I just hope that we didn't do it wrong. Maybe I can crawl the web and see if I can find multiple independent calculators and see if I can get the same result. At least increase my confidence that the constant value that we're putting in of 3,587 is correct. That was my hesitancy.
Yeah, I did
publish a draft like that, and then the working group can decide if we're ready to actually register the tags.
Well, I think we should register the tags now. I don't think there is any technical issue that's still open with the document. So I would propose to go ahead with this.
Okay, well, I will submit the registration request. Agreed?
Yes,
Please
completely.
do so.
Okay.
And come back with to the mailing list after you have checked about this if you see any problem with this.
Will do.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, on the agenda, this was the last topic. Is there anything else that people would like to talk about?
Yeah, I think in the last meeting I mentioned that the SDF activity from one data model is converging. And actually it's looking pretty good. And we are probably going to submit the 00 draft to the IETF this week. And this is of interest to this group because we are actually using CDDL there. And maybe the latest innovation we had was handling extension points by having a CDDL specification that uses the word extension point on all lines that contain extension points. And by simply doing a grep -v on that specification, you get a specification that does not have the extension points. So you can check whether you have typos and so on in your data items with respect to what's currently defined. So this was so amazingly trivial that I thought I might just report this. So let me try to send the link here. So this is the current definition, and you can look at the formal syntax, which has the words extension point sprinkled over it. And yeah, so that's maybe a slight taste of what we might be able to do in CDDL 2.0 in a more structured way, but grep-v is coming as a help right now.
Okay, thank you. Could you post or forward to the mailing list when it gets submitted?
I definitely will, yes.
Great, thank you. Anything else? If not, we can close the meeting for today. So we will be meeting 2 weeks as planned. That is June 17th. And I guess the agenda will be update on CBOR Biz. Hopefully we have a new version and Shepherd review done. And then if you have any other item you would like to bring up, please send an email to the mailing list. Okay. Thank you so much for today. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.